Military police? What excuse for being late was so creative you almost believed it? I was an MP at Fort Carson back in the mid-2000s, which meant I got to see every kind of excuse imaginable for soldiers being late to formation. Most of them were predictable. Flat tire, alarm didn't go off, lost ID, you name it. But there's one I still tell people about because it was so creative that, for a second, I almost believed it. Private Jenkins, fresh out of basic, still had that just-discovered caffeine energy. He was one of those guys who could talk his way into or out of almost anything, but not always smartly. He'd already been written up twice for being late. Third time in a visit to the first sergeant, and nobody wants that. That morning, I was posted at the main gate. It was 0605. Formation started at 0600. And I could already see headlights flying down the road like a meteor. It was Jenkins in his beat-up sedan that sounded like it ran on regret. He skidded to a stop in front of me, jumped out, stood at attention, and said, "Corporal, I can explain." I said, "You've got 10 seconds, Private." He took a deep breath, perfectly serious, and said, "I was kidnapped." I blinked. Kidnapped. "Yes, Corporal, by Girl Scouts." Now, as an MP, you get pretty good at keeping a straight face no matter what someone says, but that one almost broke me. He said, "So, I stopped at a gas station to grab coffee, right? Next thing I know, there's a Girl Scout troop outside selling cookies. I buy a box, Thin Mints, of course, and one of them says they're short on change. The mom says they'll grab some from their van across the lot. I'm already suspicious, but he keeps going, completely deadpan. So I follow them to the van, real nice people, and then the mom says, "Hop in, we'll get your change at the next stop," and before I can say anything, they take off, full speed. I'm just sitting there surrounded by cookie boxes and 12 girls singing about do-si-dos. At this point, the other MPs at the gate are pretending to check IDs just to keep from laughing. I ask, "So you got into a stranger's van full of Girl Scouts because you didn't want to seem rude?" He nods. "Yes, Corporal. My mom raised me to be polite." He said they drove around for 20 minutes, got lost twice, and then he had to use Google Maps on his phone to direct them back to base. "I swear I told them I had formation," he said, "but they kept saying, 'Just one more stop, soldier,' like I was part of their cookie-selling mission." I said, "So, Private, you were late because you were abducted by Girl Scouts." "Yes, Corporal, but I did buy cookies." He reached into his duffel bag and pulled out 3 boxes of Thin Mints like he was presenting evidence. That's when I completely lost it. Even my sergeant behind me was trying not to laugh. We still had to write him up. Regulations don't bend for cookies, but when I filled out the report under reason for tardiness, I wrote, "Temporarily detained by Girl Scouts." My sergeant just shook his head and said, "Well, that's a new one." A few days later, the first sergeant called him into the office. Jenkins walked in 5 minutes early, saluted, and placed a fresh box of Thin Mints on the desk. "Just in case they come back, Top," he said. Even the first sergeant cracked a smile, and that man hadn't smiled since 1997. Word got around fast. For the next few weeks, anytime someone was late, someone would say, "Uh-oh, cookie dealers strike again." Jenkins took it in stride. Every morning, he'd show up on time, box of Thin Mints in hand, and salute the gate guards like he was delivering classified baked goods. Months later, I ran into him again before he PCS'd. I asked if he ever bought cookies after that day. He said, "No, Corporal. I don't even walk near grocery stores anymore. Too risky." That kid might have been a handful, but I'll give him credit. If the Army gave medals for creativity under pressure, he'd have earned one. And to this day, anytime a soldier gives me an excuse that sounds too crazy